The steep rise in raw material costs has forced a price hike in India, but Nestle's global CEO Paul Wulch believes that the company will have to look at other smarter ways to avoid frequent increase in prices. He also spoke on the new competitor Danone in the Indian market and how Nestle plans to maintain its market leadership. Here's an excerpt with Supriya.
You have to say also there is indeed a price sensitivity, and India is not different than other markets. That sensitivity is there in other markets too. What you have also, raw material prices went up, and that has been reflected in certain needs for price increases. You have certain price points that are more sensitive than others, and the 5 rupees and you name it. But then you have lots of innovation, and I think also our success depends on how are we going about innovation. And that's exactly why we have set up an R&D center here, because we can work with local raw materials, which is then helping again the society at large, because you link up with farmers, you link up with local suppliers, and you can create then also in an innovative way new nutritional products for India that are made from India for India. So that is the dynamics that we're looking for.
Because you mentioned raw material costs and how they've gone through the roof, just to name one, wheat for instance, has seen a sharp rise of almost 28% in the last 6 months, and that's a huge ingredient across products and across segments. How will you battle those costs? Because, you know, you cannot really tweak prices much. Even for something like Maggi, you haven't really touched the 10 rupee price band. What you've done is reduce grammage, but then you run the risk of losing customers to other segments or other companies, other sorts of products. Is that a tough challenge, and how will you look at overcoming that?
Well, first of all, compensating raw material increases, you have many ways of going about that. First of all, you have an amazing amount of efficiencies that you can go for. And I feel in India we have still quite a lot of upsides. That's where we have a program also of continuous excellence, where we drive out waste of the system. Not only waste out of the system between our walls, but also how we link up with suppliers, how we link up with distribution downwards to through the mom-and-pop stores or through the modern retail, and that helps to soften the need for increases, and there is upsides there. Then you have the innovation, what I said. Every new product has another price point, a new start. You can build also combine nutrients in a different way in products, and that is why we have an R&D center, be it in smaller packaging, be it in more frequent distribution, be it in less packaging, because we are closer to the consumer. So you cannot fool around with grammage. If there is grammage reduction, there's also linked with the need of maximum portion of energy intake, etc.
While a lot of the Indian homegrown nutrient suppliers like an ITC have replicated a whole host of your products, you also have competition from HUL, which is a traditional rival, but you now have new competition coming in from a Danone and an Obot. How is that competition panning out?
Well, that's what drives us. I mean, the competition is actually an engine, because you have to stay ahead, and that keeps us really very alert. And I think one of the reasons why we invest here and going to open an R&D center is to have that competitive advantage kept, because we are closer to the ingredients, we are closer to the consumer. We can engineer products much closer to the specific needs of India, and that helps to keep up that difference with competition. Your
immediate cause of concern will perhaps be the instant food category, where you've had a virtual monopoly. You've been with the #1 player there, but with players like a Danone coming in and then having acquired a Walkhart here in India, they will have a larger play there. Is that something that also concerns you?
Coming in of new competition, as I said before, is just putting us more alert, and is one of the driving forces behind what we do.
You've competed with an ITC and HUL in India. You now have a Danone. Are you excited about this competition?
We know Danone. We have Danone competing with us in many, many markets. So India is no exception.
But how different will the competition be in India?
More intense. Competition in general is more intense. I do see many local players who actually are more intense in competition than some others. So for us, competition is a landscape, and there's many players, and that is also rightly so. That is what keeps us really dynamic and creating more value for the consumer at large.
How will you maintain margins?
Profitability is a result of many equations, and first of all, be relevant to your consumers. Deliver on what you promise. You have this whole dimension of looking for local raw materials, linking up with your farmers, linking up with your suppliers in a more meaningful way, driving out waste between these relationships, be more effective in distribution, having the right communication, having the right arguments into your products, which should be nutritional arguments, having the best taste. And that is what drives margin. Margin is needed there because that's the success of the company for the future is linked with margin. The ability to invest in R&D, the ability to invest in your brands, the ability to innovate is linked with margins.